Hi guys, Ian here. Welcome to my channel and to another video. And today I want to talk about perhaps one of the most famous sentences in the English language, and it's the opening words of the book of Genesis. And it is, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Now, before I start talking about that, I want to talk about how it's important not to take things at face value. One of the instructions that sort of came to me very early in my days of meditation was to seek the actual, not the apparent. And when we look at writings, spiritual writings, okay, we need to be prepared to look beneath the surface and beneath the apparent to the actual. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I believe that there is one cosmic truth, and that all of the major faith systems of humanity contain elements of that truth, and that in order to know the truth, we have to know something of all of them, and we can't just cling to the one that is most familiar to us and say this is truth and everything else is misunderstanding, misdirection and not truth. Because all of these spiritual systems have come to humanity through some kind of revelation, and none of them, in my opinion, have everything in its completeness, or perhaps I should say in its fullness. And that if we learn about other spiritual systems other than the one that is most familiar to us, it expands our knowledge of the one truth, the truth of existence, the truth of ourselves as multidimensional, eternal beings. So the first thing is always seek the actual, not simply the apparent. And the second thing, when we look at this amazing sentence, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," we need to remind ourselves that this sentence did not originate in English. That the sentence is a translation of a revelation that was given in another tongue, in the Hebrew, as it happens. Now, forgive me for those of you that have a Hebrew, who speak it, because I don't, but the original revelation came in the form of these words: Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Now, those were the words that this particular revelation was first given to humanity. That was the tongue in which it was recorded. And what we know as "in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth" is an approximation, is a translation. Now, we know, don't we, from that very famous saying that trips off most people's tongue, "Oh, lost in translation." Yeah, we know what that means. We know that the subtleties of one language do not always pass into another through translation. And so we need to look beyond the apparent of "in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth" to the actual. Where did that come from? What words did that translation come from? And what can we know about those original words? And that is what I want to talk about in this video. So then, let's take a little look at what this sentence might mean if we dig beneath it and if we amplify it. And again, I am not a student of Hebrew. I don't have it as a language. So I'm only talking about what I learn from other people who are experts in these fields, okay? This is not my original thought. This is my learning from other people. And so in the beginning then, when I dig into this, what I find is that there's a body of experts who say that in the beginning is not the best way of expressing what Bereshit means. And it's more accurate to say from that which was in the beginning, or from that which is source, or from the eternal essence or principle. So that's in the beginning, God. Just look at the word God. Now, there are many titles and names used for God in the Old Testament. And we use the word God. It's like in the English language, we use the word love, don't we, to mean everything. I love pizza, I love my mother, I love my son, I love my dog. But in other languages, there are other words. There's a lot of words that can be used to describe specifically the type of love of which we speak. And it's the same in Hebrew. There were many words used when speaking of God. And this word, Elohim, is a very strange word, we are told. It's a word that encompasses duality, male and female, and it has a plural end. So in some senses it isn't God, it's gods. And if we think that also in the Old Testament the angels are also described as Elohim as well, so it would seem that we are not talking about a single entity in this sentence, in the beginning God. We're talking about from that which was, from the eternal principles, from the source, the godlike creatures, the male and female, the duality, the many, or at least more than one, created the heavens and the earth. Now, with create, we have to look at what create means. And we know, don't we, that when we create something in this world, we actually are rearranging things. We are changing materials from one state to another. We can't create something out of nothing. We have to have materials with which to work. And the same can be said for the Elohim. In this sentence, when they are creating with something. Okay, so what are they creating with? Okay, well, let's go on. They created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So from that which was first, from the eternal principles, from source, the creator beings, the creator gods, plural, created, arranged the patterns of, brought into order something. Now, what are they bringing into order, and into what order are they bringing it? So they created the heavens and the earth. Now, when we think of the heavens and the earth, we think of the earth, don't we, as this solid spinning ball on which we live, and the heavens as everything that's up above. You know, lower space, open space, and that place where people believe they go when they die. Heaven, all of that, heaven, the heavens. But if we look at that, that's not exactly what that word means. And we're told by those who know that we would be better off thinking of it as the heavens and the earth as the difference between spirit and matter. Things that are spirit and things that are matter. So, let's go back and look at the sentence again and see if we can't get another sense of it. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. From the eternal principles, from that which has always been, from source, the creator gods, the creator beings, remembering that the angels are also described as Elohim, created, brought into order, brought into pattern, brought into shape and form of existence, that which is spirit and that which is matter, the heavens and the earth. Okay, so when I look at it like this, I see something very different from if I just look at the sentence, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. I see, in the expanded explanation, I see a process that could take billions of years. I see an evolutionary process. I see something that sits quite well with the science that we know, yet which also sits with the spiritual understandings that, you know, that I have and many other people have. And I don't see a sentence that can be most easily dismissed as mumbo jumbo. Okay, so if we take this expanded sentence and look at it in terms of the Kabbalistic teachings, which I'm really very into, what do we see? From the eternal principles, from that which is in the beginning, from source, that's Ein Sof. That is the no thing. That is the unstructured. That is the prime negation. That is being without any attribute. From that source, okay, the creator beings organized and shaped into patterns, that which is spirit and that which is matter. Now, what do we know? We know, don't we, that the first manifest on the tree of life is Keter. And from Keter, we get the first archetypes of male and female, of positive and negative. We get Chokmah, male principle, Binah, female principle. So all of this is now fitting together. That the essence of what Chokmah is, force, and the essence of what Binah is, form, these are the building blocks of life. These are the instruments of creation. And from these two, from force and form, everything else unfolds over the aeons, over the ages. And so we see that when we begin to spread our gaze wide to look into the truths of many spiritual systems, we gain a clearer picture, and that which might be difficult to believe and understand at first glance becomes more believable, more understandable, because we see the sense of it. And so yes, the more I look at looking for the actual and not the apparent, the more I see the reality of things. And this is just one example of when I look beneath the surface of, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. When I dig under that, where does it come from? What is the original language of it? What did those words mean? What do those who know tell me that these words mean? Then I learn, I expand in awareness and knowledge. So I would encourage everybody to do that. And for further reading, for those of you who are interested, especially if you are interested in knowing the deeper meanings of the words of Genesis, I could recommend the writings of Rudolf Steiner, who does a most amazing exposition of what Genesis might actually mean if we look at it in these ways. And also the American philosopher Manly P. Hall. Excellent stuff, very well worth having a read. Okay, well, thank you for listening, and I hope there was something about this video that you found interesting. Bye for now, and I'll speak to you soon.